Well, if I have to start with the history, my start with the history for this club goes back to 1848. And I'm leaning on Edith Robbins. 1848 was a failed revolution in Schleswig-Holstein. There's their flag. It was either get shot or get out of town. So they come through New Orleans, they end up in the Manning, Davenport, that area of Iowa. 1855, you have a failed economic situation. Some 5,000 corporations go bankrupt, so they pack up and come out here and settle Hall County in 56, 57. 57, I believe, is the anniversary date of Hall County, okay? So then you go from there. I believe it's 60, the Union Pacific comes through. 67, Nebraska becomes a state. 70, the Liederkranz is founded, November of 70. So that's how we're tied to history. We're actually older than Fort Hart's or Fort Robinson. They were 72 and 74. Actually, it was a camp in 72 and became full fort in 74 for Robinson. And Fort Hart's were the same way. So we predate some of the old forts. The first club building was put up in 71. There's a white building you see, and there's a painting of it in the dining room. The celebration, the opening for that building was in the summer of 71, and we think that may have been the first Sangerfest. Liederkranz means, it's a singing society, and that's what we really were. Liederkranz, song wreath, that's the meaning. And so when you put that together, the first Sangerfest, we think, was at 71. They had a band from Omaha. They had the Omaha Concordia choirs here, and it was a big 3-day blowout. And they even had a badge printed. There's a little iron badge over there of 71 with a piece of red ribbon on it. And that would be typical of Sangerfest. Always had a badge of some kind. So that's basically our start.
So the history of Grand Island, I don't want to say starts with the Liederkranz, but this was the cultural center, at least for the Germans that were settled in this area. They'd been here for a generation before this club was founded. But the gentleman on the wall behind you is John Wallach. That is our first president. He was elected in 1870. He was elected the first mayor of Grand Island in 1872. So, it really comes down to, the German settlers of this area were very tied to the club.
It was Liederkranz people that carried the petitions around to have the town incorporate. The part of the history I'm basically interested in is the club's relationship with the Nebraska Sangerbund and the singers. And so if you go back in the early years, you had with the white building, and then they put a bigger stage on it. It was the one, in the wintertime in particular, one weekend you had concert and ball. Concert would be men's choir, women's choir, individual soloists, duets, whatever, a dance afterward. 2 weeks later or a week later, you've got theater and ball. You have all the towns, you have teams, the mayor and other people are involved in the theater, okay? So one weekend it's four short plays, 1-act plays that are farce, comedy, something like that. Another one will be a big 4-act, something really serious. And so that was, and then concert, it was all theater and ball, concert and ball. And that went on up until basically when movie theaters came out, okay? And so that started to change things, change the point of your entertainment, and those were all basically social gatherings. So the summertime was picnics, so you can go through your old newspaper articles and find, oh, the Liederkranz hired a train and all went to Dannebrog, the park up there for a big picnic. Or they went to Lincoln, to the lake over there for a big picnic. So those were summer events. And so it was a social gathering, as well as very much involved in choir and music and that type of thing.
And we try to keep that alive today through our children's theater program, and with our German choir performing at the nursing homes, and here on our German night once a month. I mean, we do try to be, in 150 years we've tried to maintain our roots, I guess, is the best way to put it. But The most original thing, and probably the only thing that is left from that white building is the bar.
And the tables.
And the tables, yes, sorry. The tables are original card tables from 1870. So those are hand-painted murals. They existed in the original building, so.
Where men sing, there is peace. Bad people have no songs, is what the center one reads.
Böse Menschen, evil men, habe keine Lieder, have no songs.
To the right is difficult to translate directly. Out with the word if it is true, down with the drink if it is clear. I'll restate it. Speak only the truth, believe only that which is clear. Good piece of advice. And Steve can tell you about the one on the left.
Well, that one you'll find in every language, right? Wer nicht liebt Wein, Weib und Gesang, der bleibt ein Narr sein Leben lang. He who does not like wine, women, and song remains a fool his whole life long.
So, I guess the other thing for me in this hall is the beer taps, and that we have basically some really interesting German beers on tap. Right now we've got two that date back from two different breweries that date back as far as the year 1040 and 1050. So they've been around for a few years. So and they are all top quality beers. So this is one of the things that we try to do here, and one of the things that's been helped us is the fact that we've had some really top quality beer, German beers here, and we have beer tasting once a month when we can. The virus isn't interfering. Okay, so the last one was top German wheat beers.
The determination for the club to go from Plattdeutsch to Hochdeutsch happened in 1909, 1910. That's what forced the Plattdeutsch Verein, which was a subgroup here, to purchase the Odd Ice House and move to where they're at.
Can you explain the difference between Plattdeutsch and the...
So Plattdeutsch is, they call it Low German, which there's 27 dialects of German. Plattdeutsch encompasses like 10 of them. The whole northern end of Germany, it's not just one language. But most of the settlers in central Nebraska, not just Grand Island, but specifically Grand Island as well, would have used Plattdeutsch, would have used the Low German. The club made the determination it did because Hochdeutsch was the Kirchendeutsch. It was the church German, right? It was what they used in church. It was what the books were written in. The Plattdeutsch wasn't easy to get a hold of written material, songs, those sort of things. And so they made the determination to make that change. The board at the time did, and the committed Plattdeutsch speakers weren't very happy about it. And that's, I don't want to say it created a rift, but it did create a second club in town. The Plattdeutsch Verein, the Low German club here, formed in 1888. Yeah, right, they formed in 1888.
So they came out, there were several organizations that came out of here. The Concert Association, the Plattdeutsch, Hall County Historical Society. There's several others that actually grew out of, or this was their original home. So
that's anything that's going to be around for a while, right?
So,
So is there anything else you want to tell us about this room?
Oh, unless
I don't
we
know.
start getting into all the pictures.
I guess if you have interest in crazy things, this is the 1896 Sangerfest, which was the fourth Sangerfest, I believe, of the Nebraska Zangerbund. Now, Zangerbund means an organization, okay, a collection. 1896, we hosted the second. I probably a whole list of them someplace, not in my brain anymore. Second, several. The last one was 1916. But anyway, the second and the fourth, and 1896, and we hosted that, which was that was actually the second Sangerfest. Okay, if you look here and you look in the middle left, you see a castle. That's a false front on our wood building.
On the white building.
This is nothing more than 1 befores, 2 befores, and canvas and paint for a 3-day song festival. We're still doing 3-day song festivals. The national organization meets every 3 years, and that's a choir of anywhere from 1,200 to 2,000 voices. The typical festival, in the smaller regionals, if Grand Island hosted one, their choir would perform on the Friday night. Saturday, you have rehearsals in the morning. That night, you put the combined choir of 200, 300, 400 voices together. So then Sunday is a big picnic and more singing.
Well, I always find the pictures over there in the corner are, I'm going to say, notable members. They weren't necessarily presidents, but the very first picture on the top row is Klaus Stoltenberg. If so, Klaus Stoltenberg was the first German settler on the Grand Island, and then when they came here to scout it, they left him behind when they went back to get everybody else to bring him here. So I guess the interesting part about that is one of our current board members is his 3 great-grandsons. So we have a Stoltenberg on our board right now. So, Charles Vierig, the Wallbacks, I mean, I want to say a who's who of the time, notable members, I suppose.
This is a good panel if you're interested in what the upstairs stage looked like, because you had flying sets, okay? So if you look at this, you're going to see 1, 2, 3 distinct scenes. And this was the play by Schiller. It goes back to the 1870s, the 1700s, literally. So you could pick up one set of scenery and drop a second set. That play is difficult because you have as many as 5 scene changes in one act. So you get scenery going like window shutters running up and down, okay? So that's a difficult play to do. My friends from the German American Club, who have some real German history under their belts, came down the first time they saw that. Mike Oak and his dad sat there and stared at that thing for 15 minutes before either one of them said anything. And he said, "You really did that here?" Yep, there's the proof. There's a photograph of the ballroom with 1,100 people in it. That's 1937. Townsend is the gentleman who is speaking. Now I'll ask you, I've asked everybody else, do you know who Townsend was in 1937? He came here for a purpose. And that purpose affects you yet today. No one knows their history that well. This is 1937, this is the start of Social Security. Right. Mr. Townsend had an alternative proposal for Social Security and predicted that the method they adopted would ultimately go broke in 1937. The model was built by one of our members. It was on our 125th, it was on a float at the Harvest of Harmony, okay, and won the blue ribbon. So the other thing note about Harvest of Harmony, years and years ago, Harvest of Harmony entered in our courtyard. And we fed them, okay? Hot dogs, their chips, pop, and whatever. And I'm still trying to find out, well, Harvest of Harmony started in, I think, 29 or somewhere back there. 29, 30, maybe it's 39, I don't know. But that's some research we need to do, and then write it on the wall so I don't forget it, because otherwise I will. But then how long did we feed them here? Because I keep running across people that say, oh yeah, I marched in the band, we ate a hot dog here in the courtyard, okay? So these panels, which are now need another 2 panels to be added up, is children's theater. This was Catherine Foskett's dream. And Steve's done one of them over here, one of the early ones.
Pied Piper.
And yeah, okay, the Pied Piper, one of the first ones. But anyway, so her dream was theater for children, get children involved. And so it was the way she did it. Any kid who came to a tryout got a part. So he thinks things like the Pied Piper or whatever, you know, always use more rats or mice, more trees or bushes or something, okay? So those were all, and they've won a few awards with it, and it's still going on. We hope we do it again. We did it this spring, and so maybe, hopefully this winter, we will continue and leave it unbroken, but we need to put about 3 more of those. The 2 panels here, bookcases, the left-hand side is our original music, and you'll find the first books, early books, I'd even pick it up. These are hand printed and literally falling apart, but this is the music. Then you find here where they bought the music, it's hand stitched and bound, and they used boot box covers or whatever they could do to make covers and covered them with tissue paper. So these are Club's original music, clear back to the start. This set of music, when you go through it, you'll find this is all Sangerfest music. So if you look at the covers, you're going to find a date and a place. Omaha, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, and these are where Sangerfest actually happened, and we took part in these. So many of them are actually Grand Island. So this flag is a 34-star flag, came brought here by the Stollies. It ended up clear back in the closet. We took it out, had it remounted. There's a rumor it was the first, but I know when the Sasses were around, they would argue that because there was a history that the Sasses had. There was a farm someplace off the original site down here in the county area, and they actually had a flag there. So this is probably the second. It was last flown in a Sangerfest parade. Okay, the Schnitzelbank banners behind, again, 27 dialects. You've got Hochdeutsch, Schwäbisch. So that if you start looking at, you're looking at just what they call the Christmas tree here and what they call it over there is two entirely different things. So you would know, we know it as a one name. What's this thing you're talking about? Okay, it's a Christmas tree. These little crazy pictures are, that's Fasching. Fasching is the German version of Mardi Gras. And Mardi Gras, or Fasching in Germany, we've got 12 balls that are all costume balls of some sort. The one we selected was the ragtag ball, otherwise known as the lumpen ball. So this, generally we try to do the Sunday before Lent starts, if we can get that date. It interferes with Valentine's Day once in a while, so now you've got to, are you going to do a Valentine ball or lumpen ball? So full kitchen down here, a full kitchen upstairs. It's an expensive building to maintain because they got 2 walk-in coolers and a walk-in freezer, so you've got a lot of electricity. The paintings here, this is the floor plan of the original building. That is the original building. Behind me is the inside of the original building. Now, I know where that painting came from. I know the basis for that painting over there. The basis for this one, yes, there's pen and ink drawings. You can find some black and white pen and ink drawings. There's one at the museum. There was one at the basement of the City Hall, the bird's eye view of Grand Island. And so that was done. It shows you where the club is. And then these two, we're still looking for what was the basis for these two. But every painting that's in here had a basis or a photograph of some kind. Right. So we're trying to find.
And if I knew what happened to the doors to the original dining room, somebody got away with a gem there.
You see one of the original paintings, the choir, early choir. Because the 2 big choir predate this building, okay? One's 1896, 1891. So there you see it on the wall. There's evidence of some bowling really early back in the teens, but we've never quite figured it out. Never quite figured it out. Anyway, some attempts. These lanes actually start 1912 with this building. They were manual pin setters originally, and they were updated to automatics in 59. So those were used when they were put in. So those machines back there date back to about 47, 48. So they're old. They're really old machines. So we've got all 4 lanes running. 5 was cannibalized. One of the reasons being is when they started insisting that every lane be sanctioned, And the cost of sanctioning a lane, servicing it, bringing it up to that standard, which all it was a practice lane, just didn't pay out. So we'll just leave it be, use the parts to keep the other four running. So, but its history is interesting because, like I say, one of the first 300 games was back in '38, and then Carolyn Bell in '43 bowled the first woman to bowl a 300 perfect game here. And then you have Nebraska Women's Bowling Association. League bowling starts someplace around 17, and it wasn't shortly after, I forget the exact date, but the Nebraska Women's Bowling Association got started. The presidents of the league were all Liederkranz women for about the first 5 years.
And you know, the historical part, they hosted all kinds of picnics and luau's, and I mean, it was really amazing the kind of things that they did. Oh, well, you know, I'll say that about the Liederkranz, I suppose. I mean, we really try to focus now more on our German heritage. I don't know that in the 40s and the 50s and even maybe before the 40s, it's not that they lost it, they didn't focus on it. And that's just Central Nebraska in general, right? It was not, I don't want to say faux pas, but it was one of those things where it was really just a club. There was no, that I'm aware of, even at that time, a requirement to have a German, you know, ancestry or any of those things. It was, we did maintain the German arts, the music and those sort of things, but as far as serving Grand Island and the people of Central Nebraska, just to be a member here was just to make a place where you could socialize, a place where you could have fun. And so, you know, there's so many of those places now that I guess we've kind of started to pull more back to our roots and really try to focus on a more German background. And not for membership purposes, but as far as we mainly do Summerfest and our Brewfest. Beer is such a big part of German culture. I mean, so we try to follow those. I don't know that they had those issues when, you know, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. It was just, what do you guys want to have? Let's have a luau. All right, we'll put a pig in the ground out here. Let's do it. You know, that's.
So, like you said, Summerfest and things like that were old traditional things, and but try to do the Fasching and the Lumpenball. Those were old German, you know, things that were part of, and unfortunately, the Lumpenball and that would come out of the southern Germany, which is primarily Catholic. And when you look at the Schleswig-Holsteiners, they're a bunch of Lutherans. Hey, they don't party like that. So, you know, it's a different, you know, different situation. But we're trying to bring those things back. We still got a choir that we've tried to, you know, and work with that. And both of us are part of it. And so we were on a nursing home circuit until the virus hit. And worked with the German American Club in Omaha and their choir. So
and we do
anyway.
German, you know, lessons. They have a small group that meets. We do have a group of decent German speakers around here. My wife's fluent, and you have Rudy and Elsa.
Rudy,
and so
Elsa.
Everybody else,
so
we muddle our way through, and they correct us when we need it. But
this hall will seat. Floor needs to be cleaned. Again, the paintings are part of the club's 170th or 125th, 100th, excuse me, of the 100th anniversary. And these were done by the Sketch Club. There's the original courthouse. There's the original first school, OK store, Weeb's way station. There's one back over here is the old Stelk home, and then behind is a painting of the trolley car, of the original trolley. So all of these basically are bits and pieces of historic Grand Island, Hall County. Right now we serve here. If we do a big wedding, they will serve here, and it can be used for smaller parties. We can seat up to 140 in this room. So for an anniversary, dinner, things like that, we have it's a nice room for wedding receptions. I've got a full stage, good sound, and then the bar is behind. Okay, this was a full working stage at one time. So when you look at this column, then you have to look downstairs. When you look at this column, you'll see that you're only looking at the bottom 1/3, goes clear up. And that went all the way back to the wall, so you had full flying sets. You had about where that middle pillar in the glass was where the trapdoor was. So, and with the balcony completely open, you seated 1,100 people. So that went, the balcony, actually the chairs went clear back to the other wall. So when that wall and that wall, that's the back of the building, that's the front of the building, it's a half a block. So, yeah.
When was this closed in to the balcony? You couldn't access the balcony anymore?
What's that?
When was the balcony closed in?
Balcony was closed in what, 59, 60? Somewhere in there, yeah. Yeah. Okay, and the history there was somewhere around 58, 59, you had Senior build a brand new auditorium. Air conditioned, new sound, big stage, fancy lighting, not that many steps to go up and down. So everything moved over there. Up until that time, this was the event center in town. So the old building and this building. So then after that move, what do we do with this? And so they talked about a lot of things, even talked about giving it to the post office. And which I wouldn't know what they would do with it. Anyway, so the logical thing to do was to put air conditioning in. So they closed the ceiling over, and you can see the vents. You've got 2 mammoth air handlers on each side set up there. And it was the old balcony. There's great big air handlers up there. I have people say, well, they closed the balcony because it wasn't safe. If it wasn't safe, why did you put that big piece of machinery up there?
The only thing I would say that's not safe about it is the railing hits me about right here. Yeah. Because the people that built it were much shorter. Yeah. Because I'm going to tell you the most interesting part about this false ceiling is it is free floating. If it were to fall, it will land on what was originally the balcony. It can't necessarily come all the way down. But when you get upstairs and you see how this thing is suspended, I don't know what kind of engineers, top German engineers were members at this place, but it's amazing what they were able to, and just, I mean, with me standing right here, the acoustics of this thing right now, it's really, I find it fascinating. It's not really much to look at, but it is, this is a suspended ceiling. It is not attached.
There's a couple sweet spots on the stage where you talk from there, and all you have to do is talk, and you can hear clear to the other side of the room without any difficulty. And this whole dome is suspended on wires. There's nothing but a whole bunch of wires coming down. So, and a lot of old chairs and a lot of old scenery from children's theater.
There's going to be lots of, I don't want to call it junk, but there's going to be lots of stuff.
We're going to do this play or that play.
They call it heaven. So if you guys want to go to heaven, we can do that.
So you see brick walls and all kinds of things that are actually old play props. So
the chairs are still there. They just closed her in.
Yep. Yeah.
And I've only found 7 Liederkranzes that are still open in the United States that predate this one. Cincinnati, Dayton.
There could be.
Reading. Yeah. I looked them up once. So people think about the Liederkranz only being a Grand Island thing. It's not. It's absolutely not. But we don't have a national structure outside of the Sangerbund, and the Sangerbund isn't just for Liederkranz. It's for any Harmonie, the Beethoven societies, the Beethoven Verein, all of those music-based German groups all kind of filter into the Sangerbund itself. And so, Liederkranz is just one part of that. So, a member of the Grand Island Liederkranz can expect a friendly atmosphere that is, member-based and all about you know, preserving heritage of Grand Island, preserving the heritage of our German ancestral roots through art and music. And to become a member, you know, we have an application. You just come down and have a beer, and we'll get you to sign up, and from there, you know, enjoy the club. It's here for its members to enjoy. Thanks everybody for watching the video today, and we hope to see you soon at the Grand Island Liederkranz.